Hello everyone, welcome to today's class, and in this class we are going to learn about applications of Gauss's theorem. So the first application that we are going to learn is finding the electric field due to an infinite line of charge. So here we have taken an infinite line of charge. So this is positively charged, this line of charge, and it has uniform linear density, uniform linear charge density equals to lambda. Okay, so it has a uniform linear charge density lambda, and to find out the electric field at some distance from it, we have to consider or we have to draw a Gaussian surface. Now we will draw a Gaussian surface of radius r. R is the distance, suppose, from at which we have to find out the electric field, and the length of the cylindrical surface we will consider as L. So let us first draw. Now for this type of charge distribution, we will draw a cylindrical Gaussian surface. Okay, this is our Gaussian surface. So for linear charge density, always remember you have to draw a cylindrical Gaussian surface. So it is of length L. It is of length L and it is of radius r. Okay, it is of radius r. And suppose you have to find out the electric field at a distance r from the linear charge density. And let us name this surface as S1, S2 and S3. Okay, so whenever we have to find out the electric field, we can find out in this manner. So before finding the electric field, let us see in which direction is the area vector. So if we consider a surface on this, if we consider a small surface area in this curved element, okay, on the curved side of the cylinder, it will be along this direction. And for a cylindrical surface, electric field will always be along the outward direction, along these directions. Okay, so electric field will be along the outward directions. And here also electric field will be along the radially outward direction. Okay, so in this case, electric field over this surface also will be along the outward direction, along this direction only, and your surface vector also will be, or area vector will be also along this direction. Suppose if you want to find out this area, in this area vector will be along the perpendicular direction to the surface, along this direction, but your field will be along this direction. And in this case again, if you consider a surface here, your area vector will be along this direction and your field will be along the outward normal, that is this direction. So now let us find out the electric flux. So electric flux phi will be given by, so you have already learned that for finding electric flux or to apply Gauss's theorem, we have to draw a Gaussian surface. So we have already drawn. So phi will be given as closed integration of E dot ds. This is a surface integral, so we can put here S. So then we will write dot ds2 plus integration okay. So now what we have to write? Now see here, why we have considered three parts of this? Because for this integration we can consider it to be, or we can divide it into three parts. For surface 1, 2 and 3, for surface 1, 2 and 3, and we can show what will be the electric flux in each case. So in this case you can see, so for the first case what we can do, we can write E ds cos theta. So what will be for surface 1, what will be theta? See, the angle between ds vector and electric field vector is 0. They are in the same direction, so it will be 0 degree. For surface 2, E ds 2 cos. Now for this surface, you see the angle between this is 90 degree. Both of them are at 90 degree to each other. So we will write it as cos 90 degree. Next what we will write? Integration S3 E ds3 cos. So for this surface also you see these two are at 90 degree angle to each other. So since the formula is E dot ds, so you know dot product can be written as E ds cos theta. So here theta is, for the first case it is 0 degree, for the second case it is 90 degree, for the third case it is again 90 degree. So let us see now what will happen to the electric fields, or sorry, flux. So let us erase some of the portions. So from here, what we will get, you see E dot ds1 cos 0 degree. Cos 0 degree means what? 1. So you will get E ds1. Plus second one, E cos 90 degree will give you 0, and again, so 0 multiplied by all these things will be again 0. Next term will be also similar. So what you get? Only the first, from the first term you will get some value, from the other two terms you will get 0 value. So let me erase this. Next, now what to do with it? You see, in this case E will come out. What will remain? Closed integration of this surface. So this surface is what? The curved surface of the cylinder. Okay, the curved surface of the cylinder. So what is the curved surface area? So we all know, if you take, so we have taken a small element of the curved surface. Okay, but if you want to take the total surface, if you had to take the total surface, so let us write here 2, 3, 1. So if you had to find out the total surface area, or if you add up all the small surface elements, what you will get? You will get the total curved surface area. Because you know integration is summing up, okay, for a continuous charge distribution. So here if we add up all the ds1 all the ds1s, okay, we will get curved surface area, which is 2 pi RL. You know this is the formula of curved surface area of a cylinder. Now this is our flux. Now what we will get, or what we want to find out? We want to find out the electric field. So using Gauss's theorem, what we can write? We know Gauss's theorem gives us phi equals to Q by epsilon naught, where Q is the net charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface, But here we know lambda is the uniform linear charge density, which is equals to Q by L. We have already learned this before. So Q can be written as lambda L. So here we can represent this by lambda L by epsilon naught. Now what remains? Now phi, what is the value of phi? We have found the value of phi as 2 pi RL. 2 pi RL, we have found out the value of phi. So now write in this manner, lambda L 2 pi RL epsilon naught. So L and L will get cancelled. What will remain? So we will get E by 2 pi R epsilon naught. Okay. So here you see, this is your electric field. And if you had to find it out vectorially, and another thing you can see, in this case E depends on 1 by R. All the other things can be considered to be constant. These two are constant, so this can also be considered as constant. So E depends inversely on R. Okay. This is one conclusion. And if you had to write vectorially, you could have written it as lambda by 2 pi R epsilon naught. So since here is no vector term, but as you know, as here we have written one vector term, in the right side also we should write something in vector. So here we bring a unit vector R, which will not change the magnitude of this thing, but will only indicate the direction of this electric field. So R is a unit vector. Okay, which points in the radially outward direction. Okay, so this was our first application of Gauss's theorem, where we found out the electric field as lambda by 2 pi R epsilon naught, where lambda is the uniform linear charge density. That is linear charge density of this line of charge. Okay. So now let us see the second application of Gauss's theorem. So in the second application, we shall learn how to find out the electric field due to an infinite plane sheet of charge. So here you have seen, this is an infinite plane sheet of charge, and to find out the electric field at this point and at this point, we have to draw a Gaussian surface. Now this Gaussian surface is cylindrical in form and it cuts through this plane sheet of charge. Now let the electric field, now we have to find out the electric field at a distance, suppose R, from the plane sheet of charge. So we have to find out the electric field at point P, suppose. So we have drawn this cylinder which is of distance, suppose R, from this portion. Okay. Now let us consider the area of this portion to be A, and again this portion to be again A. Okay. Now these two are of same area. Now at this portion, the electric field. Now what will be the direction of electric field or electric lines of force? Okay, so from a plane sheet, the electric field will be along the outward direction. Okay, along the outward direction. All the electric fields will be along the outward direction from the plane sheet of charge, since this is a positive plane sheet of charge. Now, At this point, we can draw the electric field as E vector in this direction. At this point, we can again draw it as E vector. Now, let us consider a small area vector here. If we consider a small area vector here, then that area vector will be along this direction, along the outward direction. Okay, from the flat surface it will be along the outward direction. Here also the electric field will be along the outward direction. Okay, in this surface it will be along this direction, and in this surface it will be along this direction. Now, and in this surface, again, suppose this surface if you consider, or this surface, or this surface, or this surface, in the curved surface the area vector will be along this direction, but the electric field will be along this direction. So the angle between them is 90 degree. Here also if you consider, dA will be along this direction and your electric field will be along this direction. So all the angle between E and dA here and here will be 90 degree, and here it is 0 degree, here it is 0 degree. So if you take the flux at both the ends, E dot dA 1 plus E dot dA 2, because here and here it will be 0. So here what we get, E dA1 plus E dA2. Okay, so if you want to find out the total flux, integration d phi, so you will get E integration E dA1 plus integration E dA2. So what you will get, E integration dA1 plus E integration dA2. So you will get EA plus EA, because if we sum up all this area, suppose this one is A, this one is A, this one is 1, this one is 2, suppose. So if we consider the total area, it is equal to A. Here also A, here also A. So if we sum up all the small area elements, we will get the total area A. So here you are getting as 2A. So your electric flux will be 2A. Now we have to apply Gauss's theorem. So remember this 2A. So to apply Gauss's theorem, what we have to do, so using Gauss's theorem, what we will get, we know Gauss's law gives us epsilon by Q by epsilon naught. This is the Gauss's theorem. Now phi we know it is. Now this infinite plane sheet of charge has charge density sigma. Okay, so if sigma is the surface charge density, so we have learned before that Q by A is sigma, therefore Q equals to sigma A. So we can write sigma A by epsilon naught. So now what do we get? Epsilon A by 2A epsilon naught. So what will remain? Sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Okay. So here you see, therefore E equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught is the electric field at at a distance r, suppose. Okay. So now here we consider it at a distance r, but E is independent of r. E does not depend on, let us write it in this manner only. E does not depend on r. That means you can say here there is, since there is no r here, so E does not depend on r. That means outside the plane sheet of charge, electric field will be sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Now, if your sheet is negatively charged, okay, so here the field was directed away from it. Okay, the field was directed away from it along this direction or this direction. But if you consider negative charge, then what will happen? The field will be directed towards the plane sheet of charge. Here the electric field lines were outward, as you can see here. Okay, here. But if you consider the plane sheet of charge, negative sheet of charge, it will be directed towards the plane sheet. Okay, so this was all for today. So in the next class, we will learn about another application of Gauss's theorem, which is electric field due to uniformly charged thin spherical shell. That's all for today. Thank you.